This is Aaron Brown, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you today. So I'm recording this with a flip cam in my office at work at Hibbing Community College because the internet's too slow at my house, but we'll get to that later. If I believe they mentioned, my blog is minnesotabrown.com, a blog that I've been slowing down lately as I've been working on a writing project, but still update and plan to continue using through the next year. My background is, it's kind of funny. I tell people when I was a senior in high school in 1998, I wrote a speech that I gave about how the internet was confusing and unnecessary and was just a time waster that people could use. And 10 years later I was an online college instructor and a blogger, and it's interesting how that transition took place. The history of my blog, very briefly, it actually started just a couple of years ago, really. I have been a columnist and a writer for the Hibbing Daily Tribune for about 8 years, and I had started a website to post my columns, and gradually that transitioned into a blog. The blog that I write focuses on the whole state, and really I will occasionally comment on a national item, but mostly it's about the Iron Range in northern Minnesota, a string of towns that runs from approximately Grand Rapids up to approximately Ely, with a heavy influence by the Duluth media market, so I often talk about Duluth as well. And that's an area with a unique history. It's an area with a unique culture, in many ways isolated from the rest of the state by geography and, as I have found, technology. It's not that people there don't use the internet, that's hardly true at all, but rather it's just the numbers of people who use the internet and the way that it penetrates the leadership structure of the area is a little bit different than you might be used to in a larger city. So the challenges that I see facing these hyperlocal blogs, such as the one that I've been writing, first of all, the reason that I'm recording this here, and I'll be trying to join you by an audio connection later, is first the internet connection speed that a lot of people in rural areas face. This isn't just an Iron Range problem, it's really any rural area. Not that the Iron Range is entirely rural, but we'll get to that. I use satellite internet at my house, which is up in the woods northwest of Hibbing, northeast of Grand Rapids. And it works fine for download speed, but upload speed, the kind of thing you need to broadcast a video like this, is much slower. It's harder to get it up to the satellite and back down to wherever you access your internet. So high-speed internet options, be they public or private, are a big issue that I've covered as really it's an economic development tool that we, I think, often overlook. With all the money various levels of government spend on economic development, I think internet is one where you've got a return that could come, maybe not right away, but certainly over 20, 30 years. I really compare it to rural electrification like you saw in the 1930s. So offering more internet connection options for people in outside the metro areas of this country, but certainly this state, would be a big issue that would help someone like me or any of our panelists or anyone working in outstate Minnesota do more with broadcasting podcasts and more audio and more video, things that are very difficult to work with where I live anyway. The second thing, and I alluded to it earlier, when you write a local blog for an area of about the Iron Range and Duluth taken together, that's about 200,000 people, which is a significant number of people, but they're spread out over an area similar to a New England state, so it's a very big area, and lots of little towns that are in a network. And so the towns identify with each other, but they also have their own individual identities, and they don't always see the world in exactly the same way. So having a blog in an area where half of the people don't use the internet regularly makes the blog kind of otherworldly. There's a smaller audience that will follow any particular point of view on any particular blog. I have identified my audience as about 250 people who stop by, roughly speaking, every day, maybe about 1,000 in the course of a week who visit the website. There's another 100 or so who subscribe, maybe a little bit more, and there's some that I'm not fully aware of who's following me. And then those who follow me through Twitter and Facebook, and there's another small collection there as well. 1,200 people, maybe, and then everyone who finds me through the search engines looking for Iron Range news. So maybe a few thousand, very generously, might happen across this blog. Now that's not nothing, but it's also not enough to create a revenue stream, or for me to justify spending more time than I already do doing a better job than I currently do. So the big challenge there is penetrating these areas where not as many people use the internet because of the age demographic differences. I think quite a bit younger people on the Iron Range use the internet, I'd say, in a similar way than any other group of 20 and 30-year-olds would in the state of Minnesota. It's just that the demographic split there is huge, and the range is known for its aging population. I guess the average age is not too terrible, but the split there is there's a lot of people, especially a lot of people in elected office, in the leadership in our business community, who are a little out of the loop on how these kind of blogs work and how they can be used. Just the very notion that a blog expresses an opinion and that it's not like a newspaper is a lesson that a lot of people don't fully understand. So when I make a point of view observation about a political issue, people don't always understand that I'm not representing an objective informational overview so much as I am offering a subjective argument that I've made, and that's something that's we're still working out at all levels, I guess. And I mentioned that low audience means no revenue, which means it's hard for me to justify doing this. I obviously have been blogging less since I decided to work on a book project, and something that, while not lucrative, is at least some sort of financial outcome that I can measure. I think I've gotten one Google AdSense check for my local blog in the 2 years that I've used Google Ads. If I wanted to work harder at making more revenue options, I could, but the amount of time you put in probably wouldn't pay out. So that's the same kind of problem that newspapers face in monetizing their internet work. It's something's coming, but we don't know what yet. And the last thing that I wanted to mention was the relationship that people who do local blogs need to have with their local media, newspapers, radio stations. I'm very fortunate in that I have a strong relationship with a very unique independent public radio station here in northern Minnesota, KAXE, which is actually them and people like them represent the way the media might emerge from our current crisis of revenue and finding ways to use the internet. They're a nonprofit, membership-based organization, and community journalism is a big thing that they do. And while that's got its controversy within the journalism field, it is interesting how they're able to weather what has been a bad economy and an even worse one up here with relative consistency. They haven't had to give up a lot the way the newspapers have in terms of layoffs. So anyway, I have a strong relationship with them, and because I still write a column for the paper, I'm able to work with journalists, and I share a lot of links. But what's interesting, and I'll kind of leave it with this, our local papers recently went to use a paywall, which is something that more newspapers are experimenting with. And the paywall has really changed how I blog about local issues. Instead of using the local newspaper story link as an informational background before I start talking about something, I have to figure out a way to explain the story without abusing any kind of copyright, which is important to follow, especially as you get bigger. And I'm sure certain newspapers would be much, as they go through the paywall system, they're going to be looking for copyright violations among bloggers. And so that's another issue for local bloggers, is what's your relationship like with the other media in your area. Frankly, I'm finding it hard to go alone. I think another successful model might be team blogs, and we're seeing some examples of that, and the others will, I'm sure, talk about it. But that's something to look at. And anyway, thanks for the opportunity to share this with you, and I hope to be able to continue this conversation. If we don't get to do that, you can always read the blog at minnesotabrown.com, and I'm happy to talk by email or online about anything you'd like. So thanks a lot, and enjoy the day.